Hello, govnah. What's up, y'all? It's not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, so don't base anything I say off of these videos. I just do it for pure entertainment purposes only. I'm trying to set up my camera, don't mind me. Get the right position there. Anyways. Okay. Let me grab... Okay, so we are still in that kind of zone I talk about, man, all the time, where it's just kind of that sideways, boring zone. I do still think we'll have possibly today, where are we at? Today's Friday. Possibly could see an increase today. Sorry, give me a second here. So, yeah, we're kind of in that sideways barcoding zone, which isn't, not necessarily a bad thing. When a stock barcodes, it's usually a good thing. But AMC, what happens with AMC a lot is you see a barcoding for just a long time, and then a pop up, and then they beat it back down, and then it does the same thing over and over. But my personal thought is, every time it pops up and they bring it back down, it didn't get to its full potential on its pop, on its upward swing. So I think at some point, when we do have one of those upward swings, there's going to be a point where it's going to kind of make up for all the times it's been ladder attacked or dropped back down or shorted down or manipulated down, however you think, or whatever the thing is, whatever's going on. At some point when it does lift off, everyone always says talking about going to the moon, but I think this will definitely change people's thoughts. Like, this will really be the moon when it happens. But until it happens, there's not a whole lot you can do. You can look at the chart randomly. You can, for me personally, I've slowed down on my buying just because I had other things going on. I'm still buying shares. I bought a couple today, buy a couple here and there, but I'm comfortable in my position. So I'm just hanging in there, checking in randomly. But I do feel comfortable with the position I have in AMC. I do. It's almost like an addiction. You got to buy. It's like I got to buy some randomly at some point. Even though today I was like, I don't even really need any, but I forgot I had one of my brokerage accounts. I had like $10.20 sitting in there, and I thought, oh shit, well, let's use that. My Publix had been sitting there. So I put that in, bought 2 shares. But after a while, I mean, I don't know if you guys have the history of what I've been doing. I've been buying and holding for years, so I've got a decent amount of shares, and I've never been able to buy like 1,000 at a time. I've always been like a share a day, 2 shares a day, 10 shares a day, half a share a day, just playing it like that. But there's a lot of hype coming back into AMC, and it just does this. It's almost like the hype's an algorithm as well. You know what I mean? Like there's it goes up, it goes down. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but AMC, kind of the topic and the hype and the whatever, kind of dies out for a while, and then it kind of pops back in, peeks its head, and then gives you a little jump, and then when they beat it back down or ladder attack it or whatever they do to it, after that you get all the shills and the FUD and the people that just genuinely believe it ain't shit. They're going to come back and say, I told you, that was it. It'll never go up again. And then inevitably it goes up again. And then they come back and say, that was it. That was your squeeze. So there's a lot that goes into this, a lot that goes on, a lot of stuff behind the scenes, a lot of like moving parts, man. It's just kind of hard to pinpoint one thing. There's just a lot of moving parts to this. But the key to it for me is really 100% really was just my instinct that brought me into this before I even knew about the squeeze or anything like that. And then once I realized people talking about the squeeze, and I did more DD, people talking about market makers that are actually making a price and benefiting when it goes down. And then, people are getting excited right now because institutions are buying in, and I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. It can be good for a short term pop, but I do believe once, and my personal thoughts, my personal opinion, maybe some of the institutions are genuinely here because they want to make money on the upside. But I think this is my personal opinion. I'm not a financial advisor in any shape, way, or form, but I think sometimes the institutions buy in because they know what's coming. They're ahead of the game. These guys got technology. They got freaking algorithms. They got robots. They got geniuses that went to school and studied math and numbers this whole time. That have definitely see something coming. So the institutions buy in, and then when it pops up, they all say, "Oh, well, it only ran up because these institutions bought in and sold at a only like a 50 cent or $2 increase, whatever it is," and then they sell, and it goes back down, and everyone says, "Oh, well, they're in and out," or maybe they don't sell and they're using their shares to loan out. So, if you look at it, like these big institutions or big funds or whatever that have all this tons of capital, tons of liquidity, tons of money to play with, they're going to help each other out. It's almost like a frat probably type thing, in my opinion. No factual evidence behind this, obviously, but I do believe that it's kind of something like that where everyone's just, they kind of, a common enemy. They might not all be friends and they whatever the case is, but the common enemy at this point would probably be apes, retail. The whole GameStop thing was just a mess for them. So I believe they work together and trying to keep these things to a minimum. I think they let it run up once in a while, and that way they can say, "Oh, it's squeezed. Get out now. Are you ready to leave?" And then we don't leave, and then the shit. One of these days, I genuinely believe in my heart, my instinct, my opinion, that they're going to let it run one of these days up to like that $50, $70 range again and try to clear you out, which it could possibly happen. They could clear people out, but I don't know. But I believe that's kind of one of their, maybe one of their goals. I don't know for sure. But I would think that they might do something like that, let it sit there for a couple days and then work it back down to, let's say they let it go to $50. It maxes at 50, end the day at like 42 or something like that. And then the next day or the day after, maybe 2 or 3 days, it's just going to plummet down to 20. And then it's just going to work its way down slowly but surely, probably linger around 10, 11, whatever, And this is not, I don't know for sure the numbers, but this is kind of a thought. It could be 70, they max out. It could be 30, they max out. But I believe that eventually we'll get right back to where we're at. 5, 6, 4, that range where it's just kind of like, it's not that exciting, But I've talked about this several times. The algorithms combined with the success of movies, the business aspect of AMC, not just movies in general, because a lot of times people get confused too, like, oh, movies made this much this weekend, but that doesn't mean that, $1 billion went straight to AMC. $1 billion throughout the movie. There's still Cinemark, there's still Regal and other places that collect on this. So there's a lot that goes into it. Like I said, a lot of moving parts, in my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. Who knows? I could be totally wrong, and I just totally wasted all of our time. Who knows? But I do think that, like I said, I think that it's going to have a run up at some point. And even if it, and who knows, man, at that point, there's going to be some people that say, hey, I'm tired of being in this. I'm going to jump out. If it goes to 30, 40, 50, 60, 20, whatever, they're going to say, damn, I'm already $100,000 up. I'm out. That's cool. Do what you feel is best for you. I genuinely believe that there's enough people that are going to keep rotating in and out of this. I think there's enough people that are buying and holding and never selling, like some of the OG apes that just aren't selling. They're just holding. I believe there's enough people doing that at some point it's not going to matter who's buying in, who's selling, who's day trading, institutions, funds, whatever. At some point it's it's just going to lose control. It's like airing up a tire. You know, you ever watch those videos where the dude's airing up the tire and eventually they get too much, it pops, they blow up. At some point, this thing's going to have its pop. There's too much air going in this fucking tire. You know what I mean? So, and we're just pumping. Right now, the air is pumping in. There's going to be hype. There's going to be FOMO. There's going to be times where, like I said, like it runs up like this. Who knows? Maybe we, you know, people are talking about it now, being this and that. Who knows? With all the hype going in, they could just decide, hey, man, we're not going to let it run up right now. There's too much hype behind it. We're going to drop it down back to 4, 3, and shake some people out, and then it'll spring up 6, 7, and people are going to say, oh, my God, it's coming, and they beat you back down. I don't know. There's different scenarios, you know, you just got to look at. But what it really boils down to for me is I don't care what the number says until it reaches a number I like. And if it never reaches that number, then I'll reevaluate the situation in years to come. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about years and whatever. They're looking for weeks and months. AMC running up to 505 right now. It's going to have its little bounces up and down. But yeah, really genuinely for me, it's this buy and hold. And I've said this from the beginning, if it never squeezes, I'll just hold it long term and go from there. One of the other FUD, you know, a lot of FUD or a lot of people will say, well, they're not going to make it. They're going to go out of business. Look at the debt. They can't do this. They can't do that. That doesn't scare me just because I've invested what I'm willing to lose. Like if today they were just to announce bankruptcy, and which would take time, it's not going to just suddenly blip off the map. That's the other thing people get confused. You know, if they, let's just say, and I 100% don't believe this. I do not believe AMC is going to go bankrupt. But let's just say they filed for bankruptcy today. You would still have time. It's not going to just, you know, it might drop and it's going to go up and down. You might get down to $3, $4, $2 a share, but it's not going to just suddenly be gone. You know, you're going to have time to exit. You're going to have time to evaluate. You're going to have time to say, hey, man, I'm just going to hold on and see where it takes me. A lot of the fear tactics in this is like, it's going to happen. You got to move now. And life in general, a lot of times you just got to evaluate the situation. You can't just jump like, oh my God, it's time. You know, like you've got to evaluate what's going on. Yes, you got to react, but in the market in general, you usually have a little more time than a lot of people say. And that's why even like this, like the thing like this, waiting for a squeeze. If you've been in here this long and you know, I think you've probably learned by now that it's just there's fuckery involved, there's manipulation involved, in my opinion, no factual evidence. But if you go into like just reading charts and you look at Bollinger Bands and stuff like that, right now, you know, on the minute chart, the Bollinger Bands are kind of expanding, so that kind of leads me to believe that it could. You know, when they expand, it means they're not really going to go up higher, too much higher. But it's just kind of in and out. So right now, the Bollinger Band's show an expansion on there, so I think we stick around 504 to $5, and then if they tighten up here, then we could go back up to 506. It's just kind of a, you know, a lot of eyes on it. It's going to kind of be boring, in my opinion. We could end the day around the same place we're at now. There's a possibility we end at 507. There's a possibility we end at 501. Right in that range. I know it's you know, kind of where we're at right now. But you know, that no one really knows. No one really knows. The possibilities of a drop, the possibilities of a pump, the possibilities of just barcoding, any of it's open. With AMC, it is what it is. There's no certainty for me. Like there's no like, oh, and I don't really even need to read the chart on a daily basis like this to be like, oh, we're gonna end at this point, because I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just buying, I'm holding. I'm not playing options on it right now. I'm not doing anything with AMC and GME for that matter, but buying and holding. I talked about GME jumping out yesterday and buying back in, but or maybe the day before, I can't remember, but I wound up not doing that. Buy and hold is what I'm doing with these stocks. There's other plays I'm jumping in and out of, like I jumped in and out of that RH, made a decent little profit. Jumped in and out of Room, made a decent little profit. So there's other plays that you can, play that way. But for me personally, I look at AMC almost like I look at Apple at this point. I'm buying and holding. Apple for me, a lot of people, a lot of FUD going around about Apple, negativity. I think Apple is just a solid long-term hold, and I think AMC solid long-term hold just because fundamentally it's much better than where it's sitting. And I do think that they have improvements going along the way. It is a little different because Apple is one of those companies that I'm just, I'm not expecting a squeeze or anything like that. I'm just a long-term hold, a nice little gain here in 20, 30 years, 10 years, whenever I decide to pull it out. AMC, you keep your eye on it kind of in your peripheral as you're doing other things. You guys got to know it could squeeze at any moment. It could pop at any moment. It could drop at any moment. But personally, I really won't feel any excitement, I don't think, until we start getting past that 12, 13 mark. And then, okay, you can beat that. If you can get up to like $20 a share, then I'll start kind of like, okay, I might start buying into some of the FOMO. But for now, I'm just buying, I'm holding. I'm not getting myself overhyped. I've learned my lesson on that. You get yourself overhyped, and then you get let down. It's like you don't want to have too much hope. Obviously, in the back of your head, in the back of my head, I'm always thinking that it's always a possibility. Every day is a possibility that this thing could squeeze. But for my DD, my instinct, my opinion, I think we're months away from seeing a big jump like that. I do think, like I said, there could be kind of like a gamma coming up, or maybe like a fake squeeze or a pump. Tough to say for certain. So, look what we got going on with GME here. GME is sitting at $22.36. So, yeah, I mean, they're kind of both bouncing around the same area. It's a Friday. Normally on Fridays, you can see more of a drop at the end of the day, people pulling profits and stuff. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see today jump up to maybe 515, 520, and then kind of still end the day back around that 505 mark. Anyway, that's what I'm seeing. I would love to be pumped up and be like, whoa, my titties are jacked and all that shit, but it's just not. We're not there right now, So, until we get there, I'm going to continue to say the same thing. For me personally, it's buy and hold. And hold. There's a lot of people that are still buying. There's a lot of people that haven't bought for a long time. One of the only reasons for me at this point to buy and hold, I feel comfortable with the amount of shares I have. But I don't mind averaging down. Monster didn't sponsor me. I moved over to Celsius because they were on sale at Costco's. I don't know what the hell's in this Celsius, though. That shit might be... I probably shouldn't be drinking that shit. I'm going to become an addict, man. I'm going to start... That shit's strong. But I know there is some excitement. You can see, like I said a few days ago, there's going to be more YouTubers jumping in, more people talking about it, and it's happening. I'm starting to see a lot of people come back in, a lot of people talking about it again, which isn't a bad thing. I think the hype and stuff around it is I think it's a good thing. A lot of people think it's bad because they want it to die down and fizzle out so they can just let it go. But I think pressure is always good. If there's pressure on the other side and they don't feel comfortable and they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? A little bit of panic involved. It's always good. In my opinion. Who knows? Volume on AMC. What are we looking at? So we're sitting at 505 right now from what I'm showing. Yeah, the volume's up quite a bit. A little bit of a spike around 11:40 a.m. Eastern. But the volume still isn't as high as it. I mean, you look back in the day when there was a lot of FOMO behind this, the volume was crazy on this. Where are we at? right now it's still early in the day. We're sitting at like 3.95 million in the volume. I'm showing the 65-day average volume as 29.72 million. So Larry P, what's up? He says, what up, man? I feel... Oh, I lost it. But yeah, volume is a tricky thing too, because I don't know if you guys remember back when Lou was around and other people like that, uh, Review Dork, all those days back in the early days when volume would go crazy, they'd ladder attack it. So sometimes the volume, like volume's a good thing, but I also think like if it's volume from the wrong people, it can be used against us. Larry P says when the volume is low, they can't drop it. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. What I'm saying there too is, a lot of the like in most stocks and most plays in which it should be when the volume's high, you should be seeing good gains, right? As long as the OBV shows more buys and sells, which AMC still does. But yeah, I do feel like the volume in AMC sometimes isn't a good thing because I feel like it's people buying into shares to possibly lend out their shares that are at that point no factual evidence behind what I'm saying, but being sold and resold and resold and resold, making a copy of the same share and reselling it over and over. And if you got millions of those, that can take you a long ways. But like I said, man, I'm a firm believer, and I've said this a million times, what's done in the dark will eventually come to light, and I think there's a lot of stuff done in the dark here. Dark pools, no pun intended. But, you look at stuff like that, like, at some point, and I don't know how it's going to happen, or when it's going to happen, or why it's going to happen, but at some point, it's going to unwind. And when it does, I would much rather be on this side of it than the other side. Right now, they're making money. They're like I keep saying, it's not factual evidence. This is my opinion. I could be totally wrong. But on the other side, I believe they're just continuously making money off of maybe things that shouldn't be legal. Maybe they are legal. Maybe there's loopholes. Maybe there's some things that are illegal. Maybe not. But whatever they're doing on the other side, they're making money off of it. And maybe it's not morally correct, but they can do it legitimately. At some point, it's gonna pop. Like I said, man, it's like filling up a tire with, you're filling the tube with air slowly, very slow. But at some point, you get too much air in the tire, it's gonna pop. So, we just happen to be the biggest fucking tire on the planet. It's gonna take a while to pop. But the short thesis on this was always the movies are dead and debt. So the movies are not dead. Obviously, we've done a lot talking about that, and you can just see for yourself. Biggest movie weekends in history, the biggest financial gains in movies in history are happening right now. So that shows you that people still like to go to movies, because there's always the argument that people don't go to movies, they stream. Well, someone's fucking going, And the fact that debt is always the big one. Debt's the big one. Well, AMC's in debt. They can't get out of it. But, you can look back and see that they have been paying debt consistently down. Maybe not as fast as people want and wish, but it's just like if you have a credit card and you start focusing on paying that credit card, but you don't have, the financial... If you owe $1,000 on a credit card and you're paying $25 a month, your minimum or whatever you're paying your minimum, you're still paying it down, just slowly but surely. Every once in a while you get a nice chunk and you throw it in there, as long as you don't use that card again. And I think that's similar to what's going on right now with AMC. They're paying their bills, and then every once in a while they throw a chunk in there. They've restructured it, pushed it down the road. I mean, people that argued, a lot of people argued with me that said that AMC wouldn't make it past 2023, that they would be bankrupt and completely closed down by, this year, which obviously they're not. And that argument's been gone. The Adam Aron arguments died out. There's always going to be something they're going to throw out there, like, oh, they can't because of this, they can't because of that. and you just got to evaluate it and say, okay, well, let me look into it and do your own research. Don't even take my word for it. Even though I'm on the opposite side, I'm positive about things. You can still look into it and say, well, I'm not sure. Do your own research, do your own DD. For me, when all the Adam Aaron FUD was going around, I in the very early days, I did buy into it, and I got caught up in it. And these are the things you either continue on or you learn from them. And I feel like I learned from it. I feel like wow, they really did twist me up for a minute, just because this whole play was always against hedge funds or market makers or whoever is on the other side, or whatever the case is that's making this thing do what it's doing. And then we talked I even talked about this before it happened. I talked about like in the army and war, they want to divide and conquer, and that's how they can beat a giant army. A smaller army can divide you and conquer you, and they did successfully divide a lot of people. There was a lot of people, but I think a lot of the people that were on YouTube that were AMC YouTubers were probably not legit, or they were just mentally not prepared. Like I wasn't mentally prepared for this. And you learn from it. You either keep going down the same road or not, or you learn from it. I learned because I did more DD, I did more research, and just owning a business. And if I wanted my business to go out of business or not gain liquidity, I wouldn't do a lot of the things that they were doing. So once that became, once they got the Adam Aaron, is trying to tank the company and trying to bankrupt it. Once that went away, then all of a sudden it became, well, now he's working with the hedge funds and private equity. And so there's always going to be something, it's always going to be something. Right now, it's still, they still talk about debt. They still talk about Adam Aaron, but it's not as heavy. I don't know if you remember, it was this, when that whole Judge Zern and all that stuff was going on with the votes and all that stuff. The big flood was directed extremely hardcore at Adam Aaron. And then when they realized, okay, well, people are starting to get hip to the fact that he's actually trying to make the company better, expanding business. You look at the fact that they brought in popcorn, credit cards, movie distribution, candy, their own snacks. I've heard rumors of making productions, little things like that hasn't happened, but popcorn being expanded to different places. Candy will probably be hitting shelves outside of the theater at some point. All these things that contribute to them not trying to tank the company, which was what they said. What a lot of people said for the most part was Adam Aaron trying to tank the company, trying to bankrupt it, trying to take it down. Then once they realize that, okay, they can't spread that FUD no more, then it's like, well, it's a moneymaker for these guys, so they're not going to tank it. They're not going to go completely out of business. They're going to just keep milking you guys out of your money. So it's consistently something. Just do your own research, your own DD, make your own conclusions. My conclusion for me personally was, I think, I guess I've been around people that have done a crime. They've done something illegal, and they try to pinpoint it on someone else. Like they will bring up like, oh, did you see what happened? Or so-and-so did this, or, a long time ago, I worked, when I was a teenager, I worked at a gas station. And I was excited to get the job. Well, a manager came up to me and was like, oh, if you ever want to buy lottery tickets and you don't have the money on you, you can buy it and staple the receipt to it and put it in this drawer and pay it when you get paid. Or if it's a winner, you can cash it out. And I'm young. I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't know you could do that. Well, I only did it like once or twice, and I thought, I don't want to do this no more because I'm losing money. You know what I mean? Basically, maybe 2 weeks later, I got sheriffs coming to my door, cuff me, take me in, start questioning me about lottery ticket theft. I'm like, what? No, I didn't steal no tickets. I had like a $15 one and like a $5 one sitting in that drawer, and suddenly they were gone. They said, oh, well, we found, a bunch stuffed behind a mirror in a bathroom. And I work graveyard, I work by myself, so obviously I would go to the bathroom randomly. So they're saying, well, why'd you go in there at this time? I don't know. Well, the manager of the store alerted, had told me that I could get tickets or whatever, and then it alerted them that I was still in tickets, and started telling everyone, like, have you noticed he takes tickets and this and that, da 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 da. And I was basically hired to become a fall guy because that's what she would do. She would steal the tickets and whatever. Well, long story short, I was innocent. I was never arrested or tried or convicted or anything for those tickets. And maybe a week after, the sheriff's department just said, all right, man, we know you're innocent. We're going to leave you alone. The same manager got arrested for lottery ticket theft. So what I'm saying is a lot of times people what they're doing will try to shine the light on someone else and say, look what they're doing. So like with Adam Aaron, like, oh, look what he's trying to do. It's him, I don't know, man. Maybe that's not what's going on, but you use your instinct, your life experiences, and you just go from there. So, just my thoughts, man. I think at some point or another, the truth will come out. I think at some point or another, even if it winds up and I'm totally wrong and the truth does come out and I got bamboozled this whole time by, thinking the company was good and whatever, I made my own decision. I can live with it. But I would rather it be that than me being lied to and manipulated and my money being stolen, basically. I can live with the fact that if I lose money and it was my fault, I can live with that. But I don't want to continue on and live with the fact that someone's stealing my money and, just lying about it, being hoodwinked. You know what I'm saying? It's much rather, if I could say, damn, it was my fault. Damn, I lost my own money. Crazy. It was really going on. This is really what was happening. I can live with that. But, as of right now, I don't think that's the case. And that's what's kind of, I guess, for a lot of people, the reason they're frustrated and hanging on and buying and holding and not letting go and, trying to shine a light. And I don't want to get too involved as far as all that goes. I'm just throwing out my opinions. Like I've said, I'm not a financial advisor. I have no factual evidence of anything being manipulated or anything like that. Just a personal opinion, which I could definitely be wrong. I've been wrong before on other plays. But if I'm wrong, like I said, I can live with it. But I'd rather it be me being wrong than me being wronged, if that makes sense. I would rather be wrong than be wronged. Duh. Duh. Anyway, I think you see where I'm at. You know what I mean? So, AMC at 504, like I said, this is kind of that boring barcoding. It does show signs of. Let me dig in here a little closer. Let me dig in here a little further. I'm thinking. Looking at a chart here. Not very. I was thinking I was seeing a bull flag, but not really. It's kind of trading sideways still. So, yeah, like I said, I think we're in for. There's a lot of hype into it right now, and I don't think while there's hype, they want to let it run. But sometimes the algorithm will say, "Hey, man, there's too much. I gotta run this thing up for a little bit," and then at that point, they gotta decide, okay, what do we do? We drop more shares? Is that why institutions are buying in? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But my personal thoughts are, I don't think, take the whole squeeze scenario out of this play. Like, if there was no squeeze, there's no thoughts of manipulation, none of that. If none of that was here, I would think that, in the coming months, with all the movies coming out, all the movies that have been out, fundamentally, this play should be seeing at least a few dollars up from where it's at now. I think 503 is very low for the company, but you can, if you factor in the debt and you factor in the last couple years, then yeah, you could say, oh, well, you could make an argument that we'd be sitting this low, but not really, because even Cinemark, I don't know, what's Cinemark sitting at right now? Obviously, I know it's two different companies. We don't have to go that far and start arguing. Cinemark is sitting at $27.68 right now. So, and I said this the other day. I said I think AMC should be, without a squeeze, without all the manipulation, probably should be sitting, in my personal opinion, around like 25 to 35 a share. If there was nothing like that, if it was just based off of just the company. Now, if it was failing and it wasn't doing good and shit was hitting the fan and you know, then I could see it sitting at like 15 to 10. But 5 to me is insane. So that's just where I'm at with it, man. Don't take anything from me. Don't take any financial advice because I'm not trying to give any financial advice. Don't take any advice from me, really. I'm just here to entertain, talk shit. I know a lot of you guys watching and viewing my channel are smarter than I am at this stuff. So, you know, we're just killing time until something happens. Oh, I got a delivery coming in. Give me 1 second here. Got one for us?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I've been waiting on that one. Thank you. So we do, I don't know, you know what I do here. I've got a sports store that has a lot of random extra stuff now in here. But we also do a business of customizing apparel, which at this point, I'm fucking hate. So I had a cleaning business too, an after hours cleaning business where I'd clean like corporate offices and shit. And I just couldn't take it no more. I dropped it. I just let all my clients say, hey man, I'm going to give you time to find someone else to clean. I'll finish up. But God, I couldn't take that one no more. So I dropped that business. We had a cleaning business after hours. We also have a t-shirt and stuff, hats, stuff we customize. So I was waiting on that package to show up. It did. Good, because I need it today because I have to get this done tonight. This is the funny part. When you own a business, all the hours you work, you know, I get here, I'm going to be here all damn day. I coach a little league football team. I'm going to go home and coach them. Or go to the football field, coach them. Then I got to run home and do this order, which is going to take me to like 2 in the morning probably. But you do what you got to do to survive. That's another reason a lot of us play these type of plays. You know what I mean? That's another reason a lot of us play AMC because, hey man, to be honest, it would be nicest to be able to like, I'm done. You know, let me get a couple million in my pocket and I can just run one business instead of, you know, and who knows, at that point maybe I will expand more, but I will say this though, I did think AMC, where it's barcoding and it's been barcoding around that $4.90 to $5.05 range the last few weeks. I genuinely thought we would be doing this at like 4, maybe even getting down to $3.92. So for me, buying it's not as good, but for my thoughts on how high this can go later on, it's a little better because everything's a little. I try to underestimate a lot of stuff. So, you know. Anyway, you know, I guess I'm just rambling. I just gave my opinions, my thoughts. None of this, like I've said, is take with a grain of salt. Have your own opinion, form your own opinion, do your own DD, follow your own gut instinct. I'm gonna jump up out of here, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I got to get some shit ready here for the day. It's already in my city. It's $10. I'm stuck on the money thing. It's 10:35 a.m. I got to get shit ready because by 11, I start seeing customers come in and whatnot. So hopefully you guys have a good day. I appreciate y'all. Do your own DD, man. Do your own DD. Don't rely on any YouTuber, any of that shit. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Shit, man. Can't get out of here because I got messages coming in. Peace. Oh.